Welcome in, everybody. HBCU Huddle. I am CJ Hurt. Follow me on Twitter at ConRadicalness. For those of you who don't know, joined alongside, as always, by Mike Wallace. Follow him on Twitter. My Mike Check. What up, Mike?
What's going on, man? I can't tell you what day it is. I can't tell you what city I'm in. I can't tell you what I'm doing tomorrow or next week, man. I'm taking life 15 minutes at a time right now.
Mike, you've been busy, man.
Man, we all have, man. But it's just one of those things where it feels like it's all happening at once right now.
Yeah.
So we got a great show, a lot lined up, big plans, man. And I'm just happy and graceful and thankful to be here with you again, brother.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here again.
Yes.
We are, for those of you who don't know, it's the off season, right? Off season
If there's ever one.
If there's as much of an off season as there can be. So we've got a different sort of schedule happening. Some weeks we're on, some weeks we're off. We were off last week, and I apologize to Kyra. I told her we do this at the end of the segment, but Kyra, we can go ahead and start with it. Here's our off season calendar for HBCU Huddle. So we'll do a show April 24th. That'll be the NFL draft. We're obviously doing a show today, April 10th. That'll be our draft show, and we're trying to get a very special guest from the realm of college basketball on with us on that date. Then we'll go May 8th, May 22nd, June 5th, July 10th. SWAC Media Day is July 16th, so we'll do a show then. We'll do a show July 31st, recapping the SWAC Media Day, and then I said April 14th. That should be August 14th. We're back weekly. August 14th, we're back weekly.
No. Leave it up there.
Yeah. Keep it up.
We're going to hit you on July 31st, and then
we'll see you
in
back in
2025.
April 14th. I send it. All they got to do is copy and paste what I send. What I've got to do is do a better job proofreading what I sent. August 14th, we'll be back. If you're not watching the show on YouTube, if you're listening on podcast, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from, thank you. But you're doing yourself a little bit of a disservice by not seeing our shenanigans. And by our, I mean my shenanigans and my blunders up on the screen. We had a great show planned for you. The way it works, I'm going to take you behind the scenes. The way it works is Mike and I are constantly in communication via Twitter or text message about content that we want to discuss for this week's HBCU Huddle. I gather that and I give it to the directors. Kyra is the director, Delaware State Stand Up. I give it to Kyra. Kyra starts helping me organize it on Monday, Tuesday, and then we do the show either Wednesday or Thursday. All right, so we did all of that. We come in, we're going to hit these topics, boom, 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 about 2 hours before the show happens. It's like, scrap it.
Yeah.
Throw it all out the window.
Yeah.
Because OJ Simpson has passed away. OJ Simpson has died. Apparently has been battling cancer for a little while. His family posted a statement on Twitter. OJ Simpson, for those of you who might not know, NFL MVP in 1973, 5-time first-team All-Pro, 4-time rushing leader in the NFL. I think he averaged 143 yards per game, something like that. Heisman Trophy winner in 1968 out of USC. Oh, and he was acquitted of first-degree murder with the special circumstances. 2 counts of that back in 95, 96. And that's the thing that we all remember about OJ, because that was a change in how we do things culturally. That trial, the need for 24-hour news updates, that trial helps bring that about. All this, for lack of a better phrase, all of the murder porn that we get now with the various murder documentaries and things of that nature, all of that ends up popping up because of the interest in these murders. And OJ Simpson, did he do it? Did he not? We have channels now dedicated to crime and following things start to finish in courtroom
TV.
Investigation TV.
Yeah.
We have that because of the intense interest in OJ Simpson's trial. We like, people looked around higher up than me. I was young. I was in the 2nd grade when this all resolved itself. But looked around and said, there's an interest for that? Let's feed it to the people. OJ Simpson, the trial of OJ Simpson, and all the characters that it birthed. Johnny Cochran, the Kardashian, Shapiro. All of that came about from the OJ trial, Mike. When you were older than me, you were grown.
Yeah, I was
right?
a grown man.
And so you could fully comprehend everything that was going on. What do you remember the most about that?
What I remember the most about that is how most of the sports world was looking forward to a great matchup of sinners Akeem Olajuwon and Patrick Ewing in the NBA Finals. And in the middle of the finals, the car chase broke out.
Do you remember where you were?
I remember.
Did you watch it live?
I was at Grambling.
Did you watch it live?
I was yes. I remember when the screen split, because the finals obviously was on national television.
Yeah.
And then the screen split, and you saw the NBA game on one side of your screen, and you saw this Bronco going down, the highway in California, Los Angeles, and it was almost like it was a surreal moment, because everyone at that time was thinking, wow, why is this chase so slow? And the cops stayed back because everyone kept getting the updates about OJ is about to kill himself. He's about to commit suicide in the car while his best friend is driving it. So, it was surreal, man. I was at Grambling State University. I want to say I was a sophomore that year. And for it to play out, you immediately saw the country start to divide a little bit more over this trial. And when details came out, you knew OJ Simpson was a lovable figure. I mean, this guy was on as many commercials as Steph Curry. You know what I mean? He was on in movies. He was that guy that you saw everywhere. He was ubiquitous, where he was everywhere as a celebrity. And so even though, I never really got a chance to see much of his playing career, I knew him as a star because of his post-playing career. And then as that trial played out, man, you hit it on, the racial divide in the country, how a large segment of the white population felt appalled and just vicious towards what he was alleged to have done. And then how even some of the black segment of society automatically went to his defense, and was like, okay, this is not just what he did. This is y'all against us. This is us against y'all. And that was the part about the country that really, now when you see how we operate as a country now, where everything is so divisive and everything is so, that was the root of it. I think O.J. Simpson publicly pushed us back into an area where we fight over everything out in the open now, publicly and in society. So long story short, man, I told a long story. I had a connection directly to O.J. Simpson right after that verdict came down, and I'll share that momentarily. But, I know for you being a young kid, I know you wanted to share some things for yourself on there, but it changed the way we looked at each other in society and how we consumed our news, for sure.
Made in America, O.J. Simpson, or O.J.
It was called
Made
the trial
in
of the century, but yeah,
O.J.
but
Made in America,
yeah,
the 30 for 30 lays all of this out beautifully.
Yeah,
it is the not my favorite 30 for 30, right? Like I like I like the braggadocious nature of some of those types of documentaries. The Fab Five documentary, standing out the SMU one, but that's the best one. And it's 4 parts, maybe 5 parts, and it lays all of this out there. The unrest in the black community because of police brutality. Rodney King had just popped off.
Yep, 92.
I'm forgetting about the young woman who was killed in the convenience store. I think everything in me wants to say Letitia. I'm blanking on her name. But that had happened in L.A. as well. Black people had been dealing with systemic racism and issues as it pertains to race for a long, still dealing with it, but have been overwhelmed by it for quite some time. And it felt like, as a kid, even as a kid, second grader, right? Felt like, aha, this is the lick back. This right here is the lick back. This black man getting away with killing these 2 white people, allegedly. That'll be the lick back, and that'll see, you don't like it when it's done to you, white people. You don't like, and that's, growing up now and being a grown up, it's like, we probably shouldn't have felt that way. I think Chris Rock, I forget which special, talks about how in the black community people were shouting, running around, shouting, "We won, we won." It's like, what did you win? What did you win?
Man.
But like that's just the way. That's what it was.
Well, no, see, like, and I remember like how tense. I remember seeing the verdict read out. I remember being, off campus at this house with a bunch of people there. I don't even know how everybody got in the house.
Right.
But it was like, okay, the verdict is going to be read at 2:00 Central Time, right? Everybody got there. And as the verdict was read, I remember how spontaneous celebration erupted. And when you saw Cochran pat OJ's back and OJ just kind of rocked back, it was like, oh, wow, you're right. We won.
We won.
And And when you look back on it, man, I feel guilty about it. You know what I mean? Because again, I said, number one, can you purse and sort of compartmentalize the different aspects of everything that played out? If you can do that and it's fair and people, you just got to be honest with yourself. Johnny Cochran ran laps around the prosecution. That was more about this dude poked holes in everything that sloppy prosecution had done. And to your point, the LAPD and the LA District Attorney's Office had done so many horrible things in the black community that they deserve to come up on like that. But it should not have been at the expense of an isolated murder and 2 deaths. OJ, in my heart, 99% of the time, I think he did it.
I mean, hey.
and you know what? Not only, but see, here's the thing. He did it, and I always felt this from the moment that it happened. I said he might not have done everything, but he was definitely there, orchestrating something. Yeah. And so at the end of the day, man, 2 people lost their lives. His career and his life completely changed. I got a chance to meet he and Nicole's children in a media setting one time, an impromptu media setting. I really felt bad for them. I felt dirty being part of the media, chasing down this man and his kids one time. The one time I had a chance to interview.
Why were you? What was the
circumstances?
Assignment? Yeah.
Okay. So a year after the trial, like this was 96. So the trial had already gone. He was about to go through the civil litigation, but he had already had custody of the kids after that. After he was acquitted, he had custody of his kids, Sydney, and I forgot his young boy's name, but I remember Sydney. He had come, and no one knew. Like I was working at the Shreveport Times in Shreveport, Louisiana. And I would go across the street from our newsroom building to this Holiday Inn to use the payphone. Think about how I'm dating ourselves now. But I was dating this woman, and I didn't want to make personal calls from my office phone line. So this is pre-cell phone.
Right.
Think about this, yo. So I used to go across the street and have lunch at the Holiday Inn, and I would use the payphone there to check in or whatever with her. And I'm on the payphone randomly, and it's across from the check-in desk. And I turn around, OJ's pushing the luggage cart through the lobby.
Oh,
OJ.
what?
And you can't miss the big head and the wobbly walk. And he's pushing the luggage cart through the lobby, checking into the hotel.
Yeah.
So I tell my young lady, who eventually became my wife, I'm like, hey, OJ Simpson just walked in. This is 96, a year after the trial, right?
Walked into where now?
Walked in the Holiday Inn.
Where? Holiday Inn where?
In Shreveport, Louisiana.
In Shreveport, Louisiana. Okay.
Checks in. And I say, look, I'm going to come. I need to get back to the newsroom, because I got to go figure out what my editors want to do with this. I hang up. OJ's coming back down the hall, and I was like, what's up, OJ? How you doing? He was gregarious. He was like, hey, how you doing, man? And, so we got to talking, and I'm like, so what brings you to Shreveport, Louisiana? This is an L.A. guy and all this.
Yeah.
And he says, my mother's side is having a family reunion about an hour up from north of Shreveport, right before you get to the Arkansas line. And so I just feel, it's time to get away. I have my kids, and, we're just going to go to the family reunion. Okay. And I'm like, all right, cool, man. Well, listen, I don't know if we said, all right, bet. What I'm saying? Whatever it was just, all right, cool. And then I walked over and told my newsroom people, man, I went back and told my executive editor and all that. And he looked at me and said, WFT, get your ass back over there and let's get a story out of this. Take a camera guy with you and go. And I was like, well, he said he didn't want to be interviewed. You know what I mean? So I respected that. He was like, I don't want to sit down and do any interviews. It's my private time. And I respected it because I asked for that. Yeah. And he said, no, I don't want to do that. And he was still cordial. So I said, look, man, he doesn't want to do any interviews. And he said, that's not his choice.
Oh.
The executive editor, a white man,
yeah.
From that, hey, this is OJ. We have a chance to exploit this story. And so he sent me back over there, man. And this is my first year as a professional reporter. I go back over to the hotel. By this time, OJ had already checked in and left to go to the casino, the Horseshoe Casino in Shreveport. And the bell, one of the lobby guys was like, yeah, he just went to the Horseshoe. So I was like, all right, got my photographer. We rolled over to the Horseshoe. By the time we showed up at the Horseshoe, he's in the casino lobby. By then, local TV cameras are there. So he eventually comes back up to us, and he recognized me from when I talked to him. I said, listen, man, I have to be here, right? And he gave an impromptu press conference right there, man. And, I wrote the story. Sydney, and I remember this like it was a week ago. Sydney was probably 13 at the time, 12 or 13. And at one point in the press conference, it's OJ standing in front of the casino, 20 cameras out in front of him and reporters. And Sydney walks in front of her dad and says, "Y'all stop talking to my dad now." Like 13 years old. "Dad, let's go. Y'all stop talking to my dad now." And he laughs. He looks at her and laughs. And then, she puts her hand up, like push her hand up to block everybody. And then OJ grabbed her hand and then they walked off. I wrote that detail in my piece.
Yeah.
Star Magazine picked it up. So that was my first national byline where I wrote it for the Shreveport Times. But because of the magnitude of it, the Associated Press and Star Magazine, it went into the tabloids, that detail about Sydney putting her hand up and blocking her dad from reporters. And, that was basically the first national story of my career, man. And, as I said, I felt slimy, you know what I mean? Because, it just the whole thing just didn't feel right. But I also felt sensitive to the kids. Yeah. And at the end of the day, man, it is what it is. He ended up losing the civil trial, had to owe the Goldmans all of this money and everything, and then his life just became a spoof after that, man. But as I think about that, when I saw the release about announcing his death, I thought back to when they said his kids and his family would ask for privacy. I immediately thought of Sydney, who's a grown woman now and has kids of her own now. And I'm like, wow, this is it's a full circle moment. But anyway, that's my foray into the whole OJ thing, man. And there are points in your career where you have all these little nuggets of stories that pile up, and at some point you got to chronicle it and write it down. But if I ever do a book, that will be one of the details in the story of my life, man. I had a chance to do that.
The duality of the trial, you mentioned that.
Yeah.
But it's the duality of the emotions we all feel and grapple with with regards to OJ Simpson and his place. And that's why that 30 for 30 is so great, because it tackles all of those things. Because it's not just, I say duality like it's just two sides, but it's not just two sides.
It's plurality.
It's plurality, right? There are multiple sides of this, and when we talk about OJ, it is easy to forget. Like, he ended up with custody of his kids, and they're grown now, and they've got kids, and so like you want to be sensitive to them and to those things and their needs as well, their feelings, their emotions. But it's kind of hard because OJ, like you said, he became a spoof after that. He became very much somebody who leaned into did I do it? Did I not do it? Yeah. Let me write a book. Yeah. I didn't do it, but
if I did.
Yeah, he leaned into it. And so today, there are a bunch of jokes being cracked, and like I'm chuckling with everybody at them, but it is hard because it's the same feeling that I think when I realized what was going on, I think I had about the trial. Like, hey, we won, but what did we win? Like, two people are dead here. This doesn't end racism. Just because it had been done to black people or lied about. Like, black people have been lied about. Several lynchings in Memphis, right, have come about because white woman lies on black man or white man lies on black man. We've got to lynch them, right? Just because we didn't get lynched this time and got away with it, is that something worth celebrating? No, it's not to me. And the jokes, I have the same like icky feeling, like, oh, we're cracking OJ jokes. Like Goldman and Cole Brown are still dead. And it just, I don't know. I will laugh at them. I don't feel good about laughing at them. My story with relation to the OJ trial, before we get to Metise Moore, is nowhere near as good as yours, Mike. Mine is second grade. That's how I knew I was different. That I was in school, and the school I was at, my elementary school, didn't have a whole lot of black teachers. There were I'm not going to say it was 50-50 split, but it was a healthy amount of non-white students there. Military base, we're Clarksville, Tennessee. Fort Campbell is just north of us. Like, I can look and see Fort Campbell, Kentucky. So there was a healthy amount of like Latinos and a healthy amount of Asian. Americans as well. And then I was there and we were there, black people were there, and then white people. So it was a healthy mixture, but all the teachers were white. And I remember when the verdict came down, I was in the cafeteria and all of my teachers were like inconsolable. So all the students are going up like, hey, Miss So-and-so, what's going on? Blah, 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 blah. So I'm curious. I bop over there and they're like, oh, he got away with it. They were like, who? OJ Simpson, but we're going to talk about that later. I was like, oh, great, good, we won. I'm doing the we won in front of all these white women. Like, yes, we won. We did it. Victory. And I felt it. I felt the mood change. Like, oh, this little MFer here. If he doesn't get away from me, I might punch him. Conrad, get away. It's like, oh, okay, cool. But y'all know the glove didn't fit, dog. So you know you got to acquit. Yeah. So I bob about and I leave and I get in the car with my mom. My mom picked me up. I was a car ride. My mom picked me up. She's like, did you hear? She's talking to me. Did you hear OJ? OJ found not guilty. I was like, yeah. But you know, Miss Whitaker and them, you know, they were sad about it. Can you believe that? And I was like, yeah, no, that's just what they're going to do, pish posh. And then we drove home and maybe got some McDonald's or something like that. And it wasn't until I got maybe teenage, was like, hold on, wait a second. Yeah. This man got away with murder. Like that might not be something we should have been celebrating. I don't know what ended up happening around the 2000s, like the early 2000s, but there was a shift in how we viewed OJ and what happened. Like in 94, 95, 96, it was, hey, we won. Around then it was, yeah, but he probably did it. We probably shouldn't be celebrating like this.
And that shift came as he was making money when he did the book. The book came out a couple years later. The reality TV shows came out. Then he started popping up on golf courses everywhere. There just never seemed to be a level of remorse. For even if, you know, again, like I said, Johnny Cochran did a remarkable job, man. And the thing I remember, the brands, I remember Bruno Maglis, which were the shoes, because the size, whatever shoe size he wore, there was the Bruno Magli footprint in the blood. And they tried to say, okay, that was connected to OJ. I remember the gloves, the black gloves, the leather black gloves. And I remember Bronco, right? Like those brands, you know, were synonymous with OJ Simpson. And Brentwood was synonymous with OJ Simpson.
We stopped making Broncos.
They stopped making Broncos until this past 2 years ago. Right, Broncos finally came back, and it's like and this is 30 years after all of that, man, which is crazy. But like you said, the one thing that stood out, and I know we're going to shift, but you said the two moments where you realize, okay, this life is a little bit different now. Was, you know, the Oklahoma City bombing, which happened the year after. And then the O.J. Simpson one. You know, to me, that moment for me was the Space Shuttle Explorer, Challenger. You know, I mean, when I was in elementary school and my teachers responded the way your teachers did. When they saw that shuttle blow up in real time with a teacher on board, like that changed life for me from when it came to that. And then, you know, Rodney King was tough, but the Space Shuttle Challenger, then the Rodney King in 92, O.J. in 94. And it was just so much going on, man. Oklahoma City bombing in 95, Million Man March in 95, which I was at.
Okay. We'll have to get that story as well.
Yeah, so it was
Diana died at some point around there, 96, 97.
Yes. Yeah. In that same, Princess Diana died in that same window right there. So at any rate, man, the natural thing that I quote myself, the natural thing is, you know, R.I.P. OJ, but the bottom line is that, man, I hate the fact that, you know, because I had a personal loss from cancer, I never want to see that wicked disease take anybody out. I'm not celebrating that he died. He had a complicated life. He made some very, very poor decisions. And you know, I'm here. I'm human. He's human. We're all human. And we learned a lot about ourselves. And, you know, this trial held up a mirror to this country at a time when it really, really needed some reflection.
For more on this. I think that 30 for 30, because we just don't have time. We got 30 minutes. We got to get to Metise Moore. But that is 5 or 6 hours, and it's a wonderful documentary. If you hadn't seen it, watch it. O.J. Simpson, Made in America. It's great. When we get back, we'll be joined by a special guest. We're going to talk some about the Boys and Girls Club. Metise Moore is going to join us. You don't want to miss it. We're right here in the Built Ford Tough Studios on Grind City Media.
Vince Williams is going to go to All-Star Weekend. Now, what a great thing for him.
Kudos to Vince Williams Jr. He was an injury replacement on the Panini Rising Stars. He'll get a chance to be part of the All-Star Weekend showcase.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizzbeat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
He's looking for the hot hand. Jaron got the step, got the flush. There's no layups on that one.
Electric, rowdy, intense. They bring the same mentality that they bring anywhere into the building. If they were mad about something, they're bringing it in. If they were happy about something, they're bringing it in. So we need all that energy times 1,000.
This is an actual good shoe.
Yeah, it looks like
this
a good
is
shoe.
a real good shoe. What you think about him, KJ?
She likes Cheetos.
Like Cheetos?
Yeah,
like
nice.
Cheetos.
You like Cheetos?
For kids, yeah, nice.
That's what I mean. For kids,
kids, yeah.
1,000%.
Yeah.
And honestly, if I was still playing basketball, I played in brightly colored shoes. I wore pink shoes a lot of the time or purple shoes. I like that. The Sneak Fest Show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Chris reveals he had Powell call him.
Oh, for real?
Michael Heisley loved Powell, and he said, call Powell. And that Michael Heisley asked Powell. And your brother says, I remember the conversation. He said, if I do this, is your brother going to be, a real NBA player? And he was like, he will be better than me.
Brotherly love.
The Chris Vernon Show, presented by Caesars Sportsbook, live weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Welcome back, everybody. I just heard shenanigans popping off Chris Vernon. It's Masters Week. He's got the Masters update. You guys don't want to miss that if you hadn't seen it before. It's a whole lot of fun going on over there in the other studio. But we are here in the Built Ford Tough studio. We will be joined in a moment by Metise Moore. We're going to talk some. He's got some great stuff going on at the Burrows, at the Boys and Girls Club of Memphis. They're doing some fundraiser activities, and I was on the bus today. Actually, I was on the bus today, and there are a couple of young men who ride the bus with me. They've got to be 7th graders, 8th graders maybe. They ride the bus. It's 3 of them, and one of them in front of me had his Boys and Girls Club form, and so it looked like he had filled it out, took it home, got his mom or dad to sign it, and now he's taking it back up to the school so he can get a mentor. You're a mentor,
Yes,
Mike.
yes.
I've been a mentor, not through Boys and Girls Club, but through I was a mentor at youth villages. I was mentoring at youth villages and just making those kids' days. They need some fun, they need some guidance. Dawn Staley recently finished an undefeated season, won a championship, knocked off Caitlin Clark, and I think the most true thing that she said, or not the most true, the thing that resonated the most with me was, hey, as a leader of young people, you have to let them be young. Guide them, but let them be young. They're always going to have funny haircuts, funny slang words, funny styles, funny dances. Oh, the dances, funny music they listen to. That's always going to be the case with young people. You got to let them do that, though. Let them be that. Let them express themselves. Just guide them through life, though.
Yeah, and that's something that you and I are both committed to, young people, and whether it's through an official affiliation with a program, or hey, let me just grab a couple young relatives or their friends and let's go do something. I know for a fact that that's what you do, and that's something that we don't look for a lot of publicity or fanfare when it comes to that. It's just something that we do. That's how we. That's
a part of the burden of being older, not just. For black people, but for everybody, right? You've got to look out for that younger generation. Like Whitney said, man, the children are the future, dog. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
When I'm in my 60s, when I'm in my 70s, good Lord willing, 70s, 80s, 90s, I'm not going to be able to fully take care of myself. It'll be up on younger generations to help me, to help the elders out. And it's up to me and you right now, being younger than some of the people in their 70s, 80s, 90s, make sure that they're straight. And it's you want to do more of that when the older generations are nicer to you, right? Like, I don't know. Listen, you're a boomer. Not a boomer. You're a Gen Xer.
No, I'm a Gen X.
Gen Xers.
Yeah,
Gen
yeah.
X. My dad is one. My mom is one.
Yeah.
Gosh, y'all make it rough, boy.
Man.
Y'all are rough on us, younger generations.
Hey, yeah, it is, man. Because the funny thing is that I keep being reminded about these standards and these expectations and things that were set, man. And it wasn't always easy, and it's not always easy to be a mentor or father figure or a parent to somebody coming up now, because I think there's the biggest disconnect or gap in terms of technology and resources and all those things between our generation and this next one versus the one we had between, from our parents. But at the end of the day, man, when you have a chance to get involved in Boys and Girls Clubs, when you have a chance to get involved in Mentor Memphis Grizzlies, which we always have a chance and we're committed to as an organization, you take that example, you take those opportunities. And especially in a city like Memphis, man, where, gun crime and violence and all of those things permeate so many different segments of our community. It's not a race thing. It's not black or white or anything like that. It's a problem that has no color and has no boundaries. You know what I mean? When you have, children involved in gun crime and gun violence, and when you have situations where pastors, people of the faith are getting carjacked in their own homes and driveways, that's scary, man. And we got to give these kids another alternative. And I think that's what Metise Moore, who's the CEO of Boys and Girls Club of Memphis, who will be joining us, is speaking to with this event, Burgers and Steaks, or Steaks and Burgers event over at the Kent. It's actually over at the Kent. And my guy, Mark Spears, NBA reporter, long time with ESPN, Anscape, and a Basketball Hall of Fame inductee this past year. He went in with Powell and Dwayne Wade and all those guys. He was the Kurt Gowdy Media Award recipient of the Hall of Fame induction. So he's going to be the keynote speaker at the Kent tonight. We have the graphic with the information that we can share with you in a little bit. But, that's what this opportunity is. And, Metise is going to try to join us and give us a little bit more insight on that when he gets here. And without any further ado, it's time to bring in the man with the program and the plan for the Boys and Girls Club of Memphis, Metise Moore, CEO of Boys and Girls Club of Memphis. Great event coming up Thursday night. It's the Steak and Burger event. And, Metise, you're going to be bringing in a lot of people, a great cause. We were just talking about how important events like this is, not only for the Boys and Girls Club, but in a place like Memphis where we have to continue to work to give our youth and our kids alternatives, positive alternatives to some of the other choices that they could make out there to make sure we can keep them as much on the right path as possible. So Metise, first and foremost, tell us a little bit about tonight's event. And are you team steak, you team burger, or you get both? Or what's the deal there? What's going on with it?
Well, I cannot pass up a good ribeye, right? So
Good man.
I'm gonna go with the ribeye and let the kids kind of jump on those hamburgers. But no, this is a great event. The Steak and Burger. Just a little history around it. This is our 50-plus year anniversary of the Steak and Burger event, but it actually is a national movement or a national fundraiser for Boys and Girls Clubs across America, and it actually started here in Memphis. The concept. The actual rollout and the actual event itself started in Memphis. So really proud to be able to foster this across the nation, and just got back from corporate headquarters yesterday. And he's like, man, you guys got your Steak and Burger coming up, huh? And I was like, yeah, we absolutely do. So really proud about it. But this is an event for us to do, highlight all the great work that happens within the Boys and Girls Clubs across the nation, but more importantly here in Memphis. And, all the great programming, the kids, the staff, the curriculum, and also the opportunities and the resources that we provide to the city. So we're the biggest youth organization in the greater Memphis area. We have about 7,000 kids on a daily basis in and out of our clubs, from our high school side to our traditional side, and also from our technical training center. So we're really proud of the opportunities and the resources and being able to work with such great kids across the city.
You guys have brought in Hall of Famer, Basketball Hall of Famer, journalist Mark Spears. Spears has been covering the NBA for 25 years. I've known him for probably 24 and a half of them years, running around these leagues, man. We've been through so many different career changes and opportunities together. And obviously Mark went into the Hall last year with that phenomenal class. Dirk Nowitzki, Dwayne Wade, Pau Gasol, Becky Hammond. So he was right alongside those icons when it comes to that. What allows Mark to be the kind of person that will deliver the keynote speech tonight to these youth and the sponsors who are going to be a part of it? What makes that a special connection between Mark and that group?
Oh man, Mark has an amazing story. You know, me and him both played junior college basketball together at Foothill College out in the Bay Area. So you know, we both had some challenges coming out of high school from an academic standpoint, or really didn't take that opportunity seriously as needed. And Mark, you know, he was focused and fixated on being a journalist his freshman year in college. You know, we're all getting to know each other in practice and kind of laughing and joking around. And we all, hey, what do you want to be? And of course, all of us, you know, playing ball. Hey, I want to be in the NBA or, you know, something like that. But Mark was always fixated on being a sports journalist, man. And he lived out his dream. You know, he had some challenges along the way, but, you know, he's seen it all the way through to his fruition. And not only that, but he took it to a whole nother different level, which allowed him to be inducted into the Hall of Fame last year. But his story is unique to a lot of the kids that we service because, you know, Mark went through some challenges in high school, also, you know, playing sports and really trying to figure out where you're at and showing that, you know, the song and dance isn't over just because you bump into a bump in the road or have a challenge in life. You can keep moving and forging ahead, and there's endless possibilities at the end of the road once you know, put in the work and really stick to the grind to make yourself successful.
What is it about the Boys and Girls Club that makes it such a special organization, an organization that mentors and mentees alike find value in?
Man, Boys and Girls Club has 160 years of history across the nation. So they're the oldest organization in the country. So it really allots, you know, it's fixated on more sort of the urban areas around the country, right? And it really are marginalized communities that don't have a lot of resources or a lot of money, you know, a lot of different things. Affluent neighborhoods are not in those spectrums. So Boys and Girls Club really mends the fence when it comes to, you know, food programs, health and wellness, conflict resolution, just body empowerment, mental empowerment, confidence empowerment, and also getting some likewise folks in the community that are heroes, so to speak, or mentors to these kids and say, hey, there's opportunities out there, and there's also another side of the element that you can really provide a good future for yourselves and be leaders in your community. So that's what it's really all about across the nation with the Boys and Girls Club movement.
It's the HBCU Huddle special guest, Metise Moore, CEO of Boys and Girls Clubs of Memphis. Metise, what's been sort of your journey to Memphis? And obviously, who were some of the mentors and the programs that impacted your life coming up as a young man?
Absolutely. Me and my wife, we relocated down here about 4 years ago. I'm from Denver, Colorado, from a small little area town called Park Hill. Some of the greats out of there, my little cousin Chauncey Billups, you know, Michael Ray Richardson, Sugar, that you guys know him as, Pam Grier, Lindell White. I mean, there's India R. Reed, Don Cheadle. There's a lot of people in that northeast corridor of Denver that come out here and not a lot of people know about. But my wife had a great career opportunity down here in Memphis with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Our kids were grown. I was really tired of all the snow all the time in the wintertime. Migrating down south has been great. You know, you guys get a little dusting or a little bit of activity, and I just kind of laugh at it. But no, it's been fantastic. And the community has really been great to us and opened their arms and welcomed us very well into the community and really been instrumental in helping us really find our pathway. And I came from the big corporate and high tech environment, and this opportunity came along, and I had always coached back home, and I helped run Billups Elite for a good while there and have my own organization. So it was a natural fit going to this nonprofit side of it to really help out the city. And I've seen some of the struggles and some of the components of makeup with youth, and I always work with youth. So I said, hey, I would love to have the opportunity to really see if I can make a difference.
Now, I know this event. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, CJ.
I was just going to say, you brought this up in the first question about needing to give kids a positive outlet of things to do. And I think we all recognize that. But sometimes it can be hard to find mentees. Mentors, excuse me. What are the mentor numbers looking like for this year or the past year? And where can people go to sign up to be a mentor?
Absolutely, absolutely. We're looking for volunteer staff or mentors and also regular staff. But you can go to bgcm.net. So that's Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Memphis. So bgcm.org or .net. But right now we have a staff of around 50 employees full time, and we have about 160 part time and also volunteer staff. And right now we have 21 clubs within the greater city of Memphis. We have 5 that are traditional club sites, if you will. And also we have 4 charter school programs. And then we have 11 high school programs that we call Club in the Box. So we have before and after care programming, if you will, in the high schools around town. But we would love to spread this footprint around. I've been connecting with, Mayor Young, a lot of city stakeholders and community stakeholders to see how we can replicate this model in more areas of the city. Was able to go on the Hill a couple weeks ago and talk to Representative Parkinson over in North Memphis. And he's like, hey, man, I want one in Fraser. And I was able to speak to the great Willie Gregory over at Nike. And, he wants to have the opportunity to bring something back to South Memphis that from when everybody in town told it was a catalyst back in the day, that main Boys and Girls Club in South Memphis. We really went to go see how your game measured up in terms of hoops, and everyone across town came in there. So we want to try and get that back going as well. But we want to replicate that model and bring it across the whole city. There's been some challenges for the youth and not having the opportunity and resources to really, go in a positive direction in their lives. So the more we can do right now and spread that movement across the city, the better. We've seen some great numbers and some great outcomes and some great data points when we're involved in certain areas and certain situations. So we want to make sure that all the kids across the city can have that opportunity.
I'm hearing tonight's event is capacity sold out. You got some great sponsors, some great people that's lining up the tables there at the Kent. The Kent is a phenomenal location as well too, man. We had some of our community-based events out at the Kent too, so I'm looking forward to driving as much attention to that as possible. It's bgcm.net, bgcm.org for Boys and Girls Club of Memphis, CEO Metise Moore. I won't hold the fact that you said Mark was a teammate of yours. That means you didn't get the ball once you threw it in, right? That's exactly what that meant, right? So
here's the great thing, though. Here's the great thing is that Mark's a year younger than me, so I was already a starter in All-State and everything out there in California, so Mark had to back me up. But when we was in the game together, though, Mark was not passing the ball, right? So as soon as he gets that touch, I'd be like, hey, you don't run a little split post action or some high-low, right? And I'm like, hey, Spears, I got me one down here. And Mark's going to pull up for his jump shot or
That's
his baseline move or whatever. So, yeah, you're right, man. Mark was not – he did not average over, I think, 1 assist ever in his life.
And that's it too. That's the Mark Spears I know too, man. He won't pass the ball, and he was the original embodiment of the transfer portal. He went to 50 different schools, man, between high school and college. So
Man.
But that's my guy, man.
Seek out that opportunity, man. He's gonna seek out the right opportunity. You're
For
totally
sure.
right.
For sure. Well, Metise, thanks so much for everything you do. This is the first time we've had a chance to interact, but it definitely won't be the last. You're here in Memphis with us, so we're going to make sure to plug as much as we can the Boys and Girls Club of Memphis and all the great things that they're doing and all of the opportunities that they have to impact the community moving forward. Thank you so much for joining us on HBCU Huddle, and good luck and best wishes at the event tonight, Steaks and Burgers.
Thanks, Metise.
Outstanding, gentlemen. Really appreciate you guys. You guys have a good one.
All right.
Thank you. That'll do it for this week's show. Before we get out of here, let's throw up the off-season calendar one more time to show everybody April 14th, Mike. April 24th, we will be back. We're trying to get special guests. We'll do the NFL draft preview because the draft is on the 25th.
Yeah.
So the 24th, we'll be back. May 8th, May 22nd, we'll be here. June 5th, June 10th, we will be June 5th, July 10th, July 16th, which is SWAC Media Day.
In Birmingham.
On location, July 31st, we will be back. And August 14th, we come back weekly, not April 14th, like I sent, because I'm an idiot. Just want to say special thank you to Metise Moore for joining us. And you guys, if you have time, you have it in your heart, go volunteer for the Boys and Girls Club, or volunteer right here. Yeah. Grizzlies have a mentoring matter.
Mentor Memphis Grizzlies.
Mentor Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah,
join right here. For Mike, I'm CJ. Everybody, take care.